Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy, thankful Thursday. It is your girl Shaniqua Inspires. And this is the morning walk and talks with Shaniqua Inspires. And I'm not walking. I mean, I do walk, but I'm not walking. I'm recovering, I'm healing, I'm being recreated, molded, all of that good stuff. But I thank God for the ability to be able to come together and still be able to minister a word to the people's hearts, regardless of what goes on in your own personal situations. God has a way of still being able to use you. You do not have to feel like you are disqualified. You are still in the game. If you woke up this morning, you are still in the game. God's grace is still upon you. Good morning, Carol. Blessings to you, sis. Happy Thankful Thursday. I am feeling tired. I'm tired this morning. I woke up well before the alarm clock went off, and I just kind of got myself together. And then I just kind of laid in the bed. So I was just laying in the bed, not doing much of anything. And then I was like, oh, look at the time. It's time to get up. It's time to serve. It's time to be a beacon of hope, of light, of love, of peace, whatever it is that you stand in need of. So even in my tiredness, I still will show up so that you have the opportunity to get what it is that you stand in need of. And I believe God. I believe God has his hands on you, and he is delivering exactly what it is you stand in the need of right now. Right now, he is delivering. Now, whether or not you are seeing it with your natural eyes or not, that's a you problem. But I'm certain if you put the spiritual lenses on, you will be able to see that your help is indeed en route. Amen. So today is Thankful Thursday. It has been pretty wet here in New York City. Um, it's a fabulous breeze coming through. But it is that weather that makes you want to just kind of sit and chill. And I believe I've been doing a lot lately. I've been running on multiple cylinders. I was telling you all yesterday that the enemy was trying to convince me that I was overwhelmed, that I was, anxious about everything, that it was too much for me. And I had to literally tell the enemy, like, you're lying. Like, I can literally see you lying. Like, I don't believe a word that is coming out of your mouth. And I really want you to zip it because you're not speaking any truth, because I was not overwhelmed. Like, yes, I'm handling a lot of different things, but I'm doing it. Like, I'm not overwhelmed. I've been basically being my own personal development coach. So everything that I share with my clients, I've been doing for myself. I've been breaking these bigger tasks into, smaller tasks, and I've been creating goals and reaching goals and setting deadlines and timelines, and I've been doing a darn thing. So I'm like, I don't even know where you get that from. Like, where did you pull that from? That might have been an old hat you put on. I said, you might need to stop doing looking at the old hats, and because this is a new creation. Every day that we wake up, every day that we are usable by God, we are a new creation. So even if yesterday didn't go quite as planned, today is a new day. We get fresh manna today. We don't have to take any stale bread today. We get fresh manna. And so I'm just standing on the word of God right about now. I'm just standing on the word of God. You're tired as well, Carol. Yeah, yeah, I get it. I get it. Work is work, right? Work is work. Good morning, Nayanye. Blessings to you, Queen. But it is one of those days. I think it just here in the city, the weather is just a little low. So, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. It's a day of rest, right? It's a day reminder for us to just take it easy. And that's actually my intention today. I am going to take it easy. I've I've got the day mapped out, and it doesn't include work. So I'm spending the day out of the office today, and I am not working. And I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that because I've been doing the darn thing. I've been doing the darn thing despite how the enemy tells it. And listen, y'all got to be careful. Y'all can't be out here listening to the enemy tell you what other people is doing, because he ain't speaking no truth. So God, let God tell my testimony, and all is well. So I'm delighted. I'm looking forward to the rest, the rest. Um, Being able to just steal away to, and that's literally what I was doing this morning, even though I was on social media a little bit. um I get time with God today, like real uninterrupted time. I mean, the Lord is with me every day. I'm talking with him, I'm chatting with him throughout the day. But I will have a moment in time where it's just me and him, and I will be able to really commune with him and fellowship with him the way I love to do. I get you, Carol. I get you. I do have to get up today as well. So normally I could afford myself that luxury to stay in the bed a little longer, but I got to get up and get moving myself. But to God be the glory. I'm grateful. I'm thankful for everything that He is doing. And I pray that you wake up with that. I mean, well, you, if you're watching this, you are awake. And I pray that you just see God in a different light today. You see what he's able to do, and piggybacking off what we were talking about yesterday, um, that level of hope, right? Like run through, take some time, today, tomorrow, to just kind of replay what God has already done. I think there's a song that says, you know, you've already done enough. Like you don't have to do anything else because you've already done more than enough. And it is a true statement. Like, honestly, I understand that we want more, we strive for more. But if God never did anything else, He has done more than enough. And I'm honored and I'm grateful. Um, but I still, because of that, right? Because of the things that He's already done, it gives me that level of expectation. It gives me that level of hope. And so I'm standing on that. I'm standing on that. And I remember this was many, many years ago when I first graduated from nursing school, and I had to take my NCLEX. I had to take my NCLEX. And I had already received a job. I was already in line to have a job, and I was moving to Maryland, and I had to come back to New York to take my test. And I took the test and I failed it. I failed my first NCLEX exam. And for those of you who don't know about the NCLEX exam, it's the exam that nurses take to kind of get our certification. So after you've graduated from school, then the testing portion comes forward. And I actually failed my first NCLEX exam. And I was very disappointed. I didn't understand. I had just moved. I was in a new state by myself. Had this new job. I was like, I'm living a good life. Like this is what's up. This is what young adulthood is supposed to look like. Like if reality shows were a big thing back then, like this, it would have made it, for a good reality show. And I didn't pass. And in fact, I believe I had just bought furniture. I had bought some new furniture for, to furnish my apartment. And it was still sitting in the bubble wrap. And, and I was like, we gonna have these people come and pick this furniture up. Y'all gonna take this back. I'm gonna hightail myself back to New York, and I'm a sit in my little cocoon, and this is it. And fortunate enough, I dusted myself off, and I had some support between my manager at the time and a few of my coworkers. And I had some support, even from, my former husband, who was at that time my boyfriend, and I got some support from him as well. And I was able to study and take the test again. And I remember when I took the test again, I had this dream. Now, at the time, I am, as I saved, yeah, I believe I might have been saved, but like fresh out the gates. I might have been fresh out the gates. And so I didn't understand spiritual gifts. I knew I was a dreamer, but not in a dreamer of like how I say it today, like where God speaks to you. But I did always have very vivid dreams, like from, you know, as young as I can remember. I used to have very, very vivid dreams. Exactly, Carol. They don't make those tests easy. They're not There's nothing really easy about those tests, because those tests are based off of like a fictional scenario that one would never see in the real workplace. So it's almost like it tests you in a different level, on a different level. And I don't know how, I mean, I can't say how accurate it is, but they hold it for as the standard, and you have to pass it. And so um I remember having this dream, and facts, Nayenya. And one of the things that I've always said, if they ever said that nurses had to retake that NCLEX, y'all would see me being a math teacher. I would I would be working at the clothing store. I would not do it again. And even with all of my years of experience, there is nothing about that test that I would welcome to do it again. Not not at all. And there's even like a refresher course, something like that, like a refresher test. If you've been out of the field for a period of time, there is even like a refresher test. No, I'm not taking none of it. Like, y'all can keep all of it. Y'all can have the profession. If you say we got to test it again, nope, you can keep it. Because again, I've evolved. My brain has evolved. Perimenopause is like, nah, she ain't doing it no more, and that's a wrap. But I remember at this time, after I had retook the exam, and I I had this dream, and in the dream, because for those of you who are not familiar, I have Nyenye on the line, and she's familiar with it. Carol has taken some types of tests that's kind of like similar in nature, um, but it will cut off. So as you're taking the exam, and you don't know whether you passed or not, and you don't know how many questions you're going to get. The least amount of questions you will get is 75, and I forget what the max is, like 200 or something like that. But basically, if it shuts off on you, you've either answered enough to show your competency, or they're like, dude, you ain't gonna come behind from behind. like there is no coming from behind. Like, you are done. Try again next time, baby. Like, go study some more and try again. And so, yeah. So I remember after I had taken the test, and the test cut off earlier than it did the first time I had took it. And so I didn't know what to make of it. I didn't know if that was a yay, you proved your competency, or girl, you might want to go be a fry cook with SpongeBob and them. Like, it was nerve wracking, to say the least. Okay, 245 is the max. Oh, Jesus of Nazareth. Woo! Woo! Lord of mercy. Nayenye, my God. My God, my God. It is nerve wracking because we know this. We know about the amount, the quantity from 75 to 245. And so you're waiting, like you're anticipating for it to cut off and cut off. I think the palpitations, they might have to get the cold card if I ever had to sit and take a test and answer 245 questions. That's wild. That's wild. And no, like it will just go and test you in different areas, and it does hop around. It goes from multiple areas, so you might have like a psych question, you might have um like a med surge type of question, you might have a, like it'll jump around to different aspects, but it is very nerve wracking to say the least. Listen, I understand. And so ideally you have to wait. I think when I took it the first time, um, the wait period was like a week. Like, so you had to sweat this thing out for a week. And then they would send this paper in the mail to tell you yay or nay. But then when I took it again, I guess, time had elapsed. They got a little bit more modern. And they had this phone line that you could call and you could get the results after 3 days. So you no longer had to wait that whole week for them to send it out in the mail. It is very nerve wracking to say the least. And so you've got this pressure. And I remember when I went to take the test that I took, that I was successful. I remember a colleague of mine had bought me a RN pen, like one of those little pens that you put on. And I had on a tank top and I had a blazer on top of the tank top, or a shirt. I had a shirt on top of the tank top. And I had put the little lapel pin on my tank top, but I had it covered up. So when I went and took the test, I had it covered up. And when I came out of the test, I just felt very confident. I don't know what it was. I felt very confident. And as I walked out the test, I flung the shirt open and exposed my lapel pin like I am nurse, right? So I had this boost of confidence. And again, I'm saved, but I'm not like, speaking in tongues saved. Like I'm just fresh out the gate. I'm like, you can still see the Similac on my neck, kind of a fresh out the gate, like maybe a month in or so. Like I forget the exact timeline, but I was fresh out the gates of salvation, but still sinking in sin. Shh, shh. Well, that ain't what we talking about. That ain't what we talking about. But we got to tell the truth and shame the devil, right? So, but I had this level of confidence and I exposed this pen and I went home feeling victorious. And then as I'm waiting the time period to elapse. And, in 3 days, come on, somebody, in 3 days. And so I was like, okay, in 3 days. And it was like $11. It was like one of those you had to pay with your credit card or whatever, and in order to do it. I remember it was $11, and at that time that was a pretty pricey price to pay. But I was committed. I was like, I'm gonna do it because I just need to know. I'm gonna do it. And I remember before that, it was the night before. In fact, it was the night before, and I had a dream. And in the dream, I was in front of this computer screen, and pass flashed on the computer screen. And so in a dream, I'm looking at the computer screen like it's till like when I was taking the test. Now they don't do that, and I guess it's probably a legal reason why they don't tell you whether you passed or fail. Because could you imagine everybody tipping over the tables, breaking up the computer, going haywires, and acting a fool in the testing area because they didn't get the favorable results. So they did not give results on the spot. But in the dream, I saw the word pass flash on this computer screen and then it shut off. And when I woke up, I said, God, I said, now I know we just getting to know one another. I know I ain't been, one of your faithful for long. But I said, everything that I've learned about you in the past, like everything that I know about you, I do not believe that you would show me past. And then when I spend $11 to call this line, they're going to talk about fail. I just don't see you being that type of a God. Not the one that my grandmother loved, not the one that my grandfather loved, that all my aunts and my cousins and everything that I've learned as a child, I was like, I don't see you to be that type of God. Like, and so I had to have this level of faith. Now we're operating in the now, but it was based off of something that I had seen in a dream, even before I knew what dreaming, like the divine dreaming, like before I knew what any of all that was, before I knew about the dream interpretation. This was well before that. But I had seen it in the dream. I felt it when I left the testing room and I exposed the lapel pin that said RN. I felt it. I saw it. But I had no tangible evidence. I had no tangible evidence to say that I had actually passed. But I was still hanging on to a level of hope based off of what I had seen. And now in the moment, I had to tap into a faith that I didn't know I even had. And so I got the little paper with the phone number on it, right? I got the paper with the phone number on it. Got my credit card, put the number in, and they said that I passed. It was then confirmed in the natural. But at the time, I didn't realize that I had came encounter with it in the spiritual. Not once, but twice. It wasn't confidence, like a cockiness. It was more of, it wasn't me. It wasn't me that said, let me put this pin. Because me, I was scared I was going to jinx it. Right? It wasn't me. But I had not realized, again, because I'm fresh, in the gates. I didn't realize that I was having a spiritual encounter, that God was confirming it in the spirit, and I was able to pick it up. So we were talking about, yesterday, like change the dial. The day before we were like, you got to change the dial. You got to change your lens. You got to take, what's general and make it specific. You got to hone it, in. And I didn't realize that I had that supernatural ability. And I say that for anybody who might be tuning in, because I do get people that I don't know, they never identify themselves, and that's okay. That's okay. Because my intention is not to make friends. My intention is to influence people. right? I would rather your heart be impacted. I would rather you gain something. I would rather you would hear what the Lord is saying to you as I'm giving out this general message. I would rather you hear specifically what the Lord is saying to you. You don't have to say, hey, Shaniqua, you don't have to. It's okay. Because that's not my intent. So I didn't realize that I was having these spiritual encounters. And truth be told, until this very day where I'm sitting here retelling you all the story, it wasn't until this very day that I realized, like I've never ascribed that to myself. I've never put that two and two together, that I was having a spiritual encounter and I did not know it, because it was above me that I would put this pen on. Me said, cover it up. Okay, if you're going to wear it, cover it up. That was me. I'm the one that said, put the shirt on top of it. And plus, they tell you to wear layers when you go into these testings, because what they're not going to do is have you complaining that you failed because you was cold or because you was hot or whatever. So you got to dress in layers. But they didn't say, wear the pin, not to wear the pin, right? So I was having a supernatural encounter when I walked out of the test, and I just felt like I was successful. And then I had my second supernatural encounter when I saw it in a dream. And then and hear me. And then the confirmation came when I spent $11 to call and hear the results over the phone. So I say that especially to those individuals who are unsure. You're not clear. It could have been. I don't really know. If you've ever said those types of things as it pertains to God and whether or not you hear him speak, that was an example of how he speaks, even to the worldly. Because yes, at the time I was saved, but I was still activating, operating in every worldly entity that I had went into church with. The only difference was I had some place to go on a Sunday. I was just getting up, going to church on a Sunday. Don't count yourself out. Don't count yourself out. Just because you feel as though you are not on the same spirit, just because you feel as though you are not on the same spiritual level as someone else, do not count yourself out. Do not count yourself out. Good morning, Joyanne. Blessings to you. So I repeat. Okay, Carol, no problem. I repeat. Do not count yourself out because you are watching somebody else flowing in their spiritual gifts and you are now diminishing yourself. Don't do that. God doesn't want you to do that. I had no clue I was going to tell y'all the story about me taking the NCLEX. I had no clue. But it was the story, it was the testimony that God needed me to say, to use to get you to understand. God, and I forget what the scripture is, but God deals with each of us accordingly based off of the relationship. It's different. He's got a number of children, but he treats everyone different. Now, they would lead you to believe in parenting class 101 that you're supposed to treat all of your children the same. That's a lie. That's a lie. You can't treat all of your children the same because they're not the same. They may have the same mama, they may have the same daddy, but that don't make them the same. And that was one of the mistakes that I made in parenting because I'm trying to wash and repeat. And that little one was like, you ain't giving me no hand-me-down. You ain't giving me no hand-me-down. He needed his own set of parenting guidelines and experiences. You couldn't just wash and repeat. I remember telling that to my oldest niece when she was pregnant with my one of my second grade, when she was pregnant with Yori. I remember telling her, I was like, he gonna be different. And I said, he gonna be different. I was like, he ain't gonna be like the first. Because the first had her thinking, oh, this is easy peasy. We living, footloose, fancy free. Like the first had her in Gaga land. So easy. You tell her to sit, she sit. You tell her to do this, she do this. To this day, she's still like that. Her mother tell her to do this. She in motion. They're in sync together. And I remember telling her, I was like, that this next one, oh, he gonna be totally different. And baby, when I say he totally different, oh, he totally different. My two are the same way. My oldest is totally different than my youngest. Yes, I love them both at the same um, uh, capacity, the same power, the same strength behind it. Oh yeah, I will go hard for both of my children, but I have to rear them differently. So don't ever get to a place where you feel as though you are not as special to God because you are not hearing him or seeing him or having dreams or um rolling around on the floor, like whatever you see somebody else doing. Just because that's not your faith, that's not your testimony, does not mean that God does not have his hands on you. So I gave you an example of how I did not know that I had this relationship with God. And I was still having these supernatural encounters. And now that I've got my mature, my grown and sexy Christian uh, glasses, I can now see back to that time. It was 24 years ago. 24 years ago. And I realized that I was having a spiritual encounter. So this message is really for those who believe in God, who know God, but you are still in the growth and development stages, that you do have that uncertainty, that unsurety, and it's okay. Because the example that I gave you, maybe now you can identify it in your own life based off of what I've described, right? And now you can be a little bit more consciously awoke to whether or not you've had these types of supernatural encounters. Good morning, Leslie Ann. Blessings to you. Even if you've been saved, committed to Christ for a long time, but we can still have uncertainties. We still don't know which way to go. Well, again, the process in the growth and development is to say, okay, well, let's take a look back. Let's take a look back at the instances where now you have the foresight on it that you can now look back and say, I saw God's hand moving in this situation. Now you take what you've seen, what you've experienced, and now you're able to say, well, I know now I've seen him. Now it helps you to grow your hope. So yesterday we were talking a lot about having that hope in God. And I was telling you the story from when I went to the Small Business Expo, and the young lady that I was taking the pictures for, she was saying that she didn't even have a business yet. All she had was an idea. And so she was expressing to me that she felt kind of overwhelmed because it was a lot of information. And the speakers and the workshops were geared towards people in business, people at a certain level. And God used me to get me outside of my norm. He used me to go into the city, which I don't do very often, but He allowed me to do that. And He allowed me to be in the position at the right place at the right time with all of these hundreds and thousands of people circling around the Jacob Javits Center. The Lord said, her. And I went over to her, sparked a conversation with her, took her pictures, and she was now comfortable to express this inner feeling with me. And from that, the Lord was like, go to work. You thought you were here to get your bucket filled, but part of you getting your bucket filled is being a servant. And so I simply gave the advice to her. I said to her, I said, this is not too much for you. You are in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing that many people don't do. So many people, if they have a business idea, they're not going to go to a small business expo. They're just not going to do it. They're going to wait till they have their paperwork form. They're going to wait until they have their website. They're going to wait until they have their business cards, because that's what society tells us that you should do. Did you know that you can go to the local colleges? At least this is what I had heard before. I've never tested the theory, but I heard this before, that you can go to a college and you can sit in college courses. And I forget what it's called, the word matriculate, maybe it's like unmatriculate, but you can sit in the class, but you're not taking the class for credit. That's what it basically means. You're just taking the class for knowledge. If you have a local college near you, go inquire. Go inquire if you could go and take the class without getting credit, meaning you're not working towards a degree. You just want the knowledge. I don't know if they still do that, but I remember hearing that before, that you can sit in the class to get the knowledge. And then once you have the knowledge, if you now are feeling more confident and feel like, okay, the degree is the next step for me, then you can go and get the degree. Yes, you would have to take that class again because you didn't take it for the credit, and you would need the credit to graduate. But that's setting yourself up for success. Why not? And we were saying this last week, get into rooms that match your desires. Don't go into circles and connect with people who match where you are. We are not trying to trauma bond with nobody. Oh, you lost your job, I lost my job, we gonna hang out together. Oh, you got a divorce, oh, I got a divorce, we gonna hang out together. I'm not looking for trauma bonds. I'm looking for somebody to hang out with that was once divorced, but is now since remarried, found happiness, and living the vida loca. That's who I want to hang out with. That's what I want to connect with. You need to connect with those people, places, and things that match your future. And the problem is your circle of friends, and no shade to any of them, because they cool people. They held your head, from time and time again. But the problem is you're not learning anything from your circle. Y'all all so blended, y'all matching. Y'all saying the same things. Y'all like the same things. You're going to the same places. So your circle of influence is as far as you can reach. But why not challenge yourself to hang around people that have higher degrees than you, to hang around people that are doing things differently than you? I was watching a reel, because y'all know that's what I do. I sit on social media and I watch reels. There was a reel. They were asking Kobe Bryant, and I love me some Kobe Bryant. They were asking Kobe Bryant if he was better than Michael Jordan. Right. And most of the time in this day and age, these basketball players now, they get real cocky with it. I think they score points with the fans when they have this level of cockiness, and they're like, oh, I'm the best to ever do it. And they walk around with these big heads. But exactly, Leslie Ann. You gotta watch the company that you keep. Grandma and them was right. You definitely have to watch the company that you keep. And so in this video, they had asked Kobe Bryant if he was better than Michael Jordan. And he was and I forget the verbatim what he was saying, but he was like, that isn't even any comparison. He says, because I'm like, he was like, Michael and I are not even on the same track. It's like comparing apples to oranges. And see, now in our eyes, we're like, no, they're both great ball players, ball heads, black guys, great at their field. Like, we look at them on the same level, but they were not on the same track. And Kobe was admitting that. And he was saying, like, no, I would not ever say. He was like, you would never, ever, ever, ever hear me say that I'm better than him. He was like, because we're on different tracks. And he was like, and I respect him too much. Right. But we live in this society where everybody pushes you to be better. Oh, you got to be better than her. You got to be better than him. No, your aim should not be better to be better than somebody else. You should be better than you were yesterday. That should be your hashtag goal. How can I be better? How can I set myself up for success? Who do I need to hang around? Where's my Michael Jordan? To your Kobe Bryant, right? Where's your Elizabeth to your Mary, and vice versa? Where's that person that is living a life, that is doing the things that you desire to do? And instead of going in as competition, you should be building a relationship. And from the reels, it appeared as though Kobe, and I don't know neither one of them, personally, but it appeared as though they had a very loving, supportive, mentorship like relationship. And even as people tried to pit them against each other, there was no competition. So, what is your next? It's easier to find somebody who's doing something similar to what your next looks like. Not the same, similar. One in Chicago, the other in LA, not the same, still basketball, okay, but similar. Where is that individual at? And what is your connection to them? Don't be a leech, but build a relationship. Build a relationship. People that know me know that I'm a pourer. And as much as I serve, I don't know why I thought I was going to go to this place and not serve. I don't know why. I don't know, I don't know what the enemy was trying to say to me, but I don't know why I would even fathom myself going someplace and just filling up my bucket and not tipping mine over and pouring into somebody else. So what the Lord had me to express to this young lady was, you're in the right place at the right time. You're wise to look beyond where you're at. Okay, I get your bank account don't have a lot of zeros. I mean, it's got a lot of zeros, but not, not the zeros that matter, right? Um, I get that you don't have the money, but why are you not setting yourself up? And this is one of the things that a lot of people come to me. This is the main reason when people come to me and they do a consultation or whatever and they want to coach with me. It usually is always money. They have the money, okay? They have the money, or they have a means of getting the money. But money is still always the issue. Why? Because it's like that scarce mentality. They're like, well, if I spend all of this money on this, then now what if something happens? What if I need this and need that? And so it's not feasible to them. But you really can't put a value, you cannot put a price to a relationship that will safeguard you through it all, through the ups, the downs, the start, the finish. You can't put a real price tag to it. I mean, I try to, because it's business. Business is business. But even if you don't have the money, for real, don't have the money, what are you doing to be in position? So I told the young lady, okay, you don't have your business set up yet. You're hearing the general information. How do you hone it in and get the specifics? So from this big information, what can you pull away that is for where you are now? What can you then store on the side for when you get to that next step and that next step and that next step? So if you are not where you desire to be right at this moment, have you planted seeds for each step that you are trying to go? Or are you just worried about what's here on your flat plateau? If you desire to be a registered nurse, do you have any registered nurse friends? If you desire to be a doctor, do you have any doctor friends? If you desire to be an entrepreneur, do you have any entrepreneur friends? Are you sowing seeds just for where you're at? Or are you planting and sowing for the future? It would be wise. It would be wise if knowing what you know now, because I'm putting it out there, that you start to prepare for multiple levels. So this way, when you get there, you've already got something growing. Back to the NCLEX story. I didn't know I was operating in the spiritual. But apparently, something was seeding. Something was seeding. And so now when I'm at the level, I'm looking down and I'm like, oh, snap. I can see Jesus here on that step. I can see Jesus on this step. I can see him on this one, this one, this one, this one. But this is the view of looking back. If you know the information now, you can set yourself up. You can be cognizant of setting yourself up for success. So it's never a waste of your time. They say, and I don't 100% agree with this, but I understand the premise of what they're saying. They say you should go to lunch where rich people go to lunch. If you desire to be at a certain tax bracket, you desire to have a certain amount of money in your bank account, you should go where these people go. And you'd say to yourself, well, that doesn't make any sense, Shaniqua. If I ain't got no money, how am I going to afford to go to these places? Well, you could save your money instead of going to the little G gods at Starbucks and Dunkin' Donuts and McDonald's and Chick-fil-A. Instead of going to them little G gods, you can take that $10, $15 that you would normally spend and you can put it in a little jar, envelope, a separate account, and let that bank up for a couple of weeks, even months if you need to. And then you can treat yourself. But see, you would say in a scarcity mindset, well, no, if I've saved up this $400, $500, why would I go spend it on this lunch when I can spend it on something that I need right now? Well, if you say that, I can understand that. I can understand that. But again, that's in that scarcity mindset. That's in that I only got enough to sow where I'm at for the now. I don't have anything to sow for the future. Hope is for the future. How do you get that hope? It's based off of what you see now or what you've seen done before. You should commit yourself. If this is the lifestyle that you really want to experience, you should commit yourself. I've been in the home of a millionaire. I was welcomed into the home of a millionaire, into this $1 million home, my feet treaded. And he was so gracious that he was like, look around. He was like, walk around, look around. I'll give y'all a tour if you need me to. He was like, feel free to walk around the premise. Look at the pool, look at the, and you would say, wow, Shaniqua, how much did that cost you? You spent money for that? Yeah, and I flew all the way to Vegas for it. Hello, somebody. So I spent money to get there. Hotel, flight. But it was the experience that I was sowing in. We don't always know how to sow into the experience. We live for the moment, but we don't sow into the experience. I've dined where the elite and the fancy go to eat. I've partied in the places that they go and socialize and fellowship and buy bottles and all. I've been in those places. And you know what? They don't really impress me. You can have a big fancy house, you can have $1 million home, but if you ain't got Jesus in there, you ain't got nothing. You ain't got a thing. But you gain the wisdom. So what I'm trying to say to you all is enhance your wisdom in the now and start sowing for the future, because it's the now that impresses the future. It's what you've seen happen before is what shapes the expectation and the level of hope. I told you all before that I learned more about marriage after the divorce. Like, what? I learned more about marriage after the divorce. That wisdom that I gained is now preparing me for the future. I hope y'all get it. Holy Spirit, help me give it the way they need to hear it. So in the beginning, we talked about the look back. But what if you now have the wisdom and set yourself up for time where now will be the look back? So this moment right here is not the look back, it's the now. Now, after this moment is done, it becomes the look back. Like once we finish recording in a few minutes, when I hit the leave studio, the recording ends. Now starts the look back. So anybody can come back and catch the replay. You can go on my YouTube channel, Shaniqua Inspires, and you can catch the replay. The look back now becomes available. But what if you take that knowledge that you have now and set yourself up for success? It will change the trajectory of your look back. Y'all gonna have to watch the replay and tell the Holy Spirit to make certain that he tell you translate whatever it is so that you get this level of understanding. It's deep. It's real deep. Exactly, Leslie Ann. It's deep. And so I don't want you to miss it. I don't want you to miss the experience. I don't want you to miss the experience because you're still in your natural senses. You're still in your natural eyes, your natural ears, your natural way of thinking. You still got that on. We have to be able to be multitaskers. As believers, as saints, as the remnant of God, we've got to be able to be multitaskers where we can go in the natural, we can go in the spiritual. And sometimes you don't know when that switch flips and you just dibbling and dabbling in and out of them, and it's okay. I've been in situations and somebody's, posting something and it's purely natural. They talking in the natural, and here I am reading it in the spirit. And so when I respond, it'll be all in the spirit, and they're like, "Oh, you so deep, you so oh." Look, can I help that I have this gifting that I can do the two? But you should be grateful when I give you my opinion in the spirit, because it's not coming from me. It's coming from a divine source, which for me is God. That's the only source that I trust. So it is an experience, but I don't ever want anyone to feel bad because they're not at the quote unquote level somebody else is. Don't ever compare yourself to me. Don't ever, 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 ever. Because like Kobe said about Michael Jordan, we are on different tracks. We on different tracks. Yeah, we both playing basketball, different tracks. So don't ever weigh yourself down comparing yourself to someone who's on a different track to you. That just doesn't make sense. And you're going to miss what God is doing, because he is doing it. You just have to get to a level where you'll be able to see it. And sometimes that level is being on the look back. But if you get someone who can give you that wise wisdom, and literally that is what I gave to this young lady at this event, where I was sharing with her how to break it down from all of this grand scale stuff to how to zoom it in, how to break it down to the specifics to meet her where she's at. And she literally uttered out of her mouth, "This is what I came to hear. This is what I came to hear." I wasn't on the stage. I wasn't a keynote. I wasn't a workshop leader. I wasn't a vendor. I did not have a table. I did not have my banners. I didn't have my business cards, anything like into that. I wasn't passing flyers out. And she said, "This is what I came to hear. You can be a blessing to anyone. God can, as long as you stay usable, as long as you stay usable, God will create your unique encounter. As long as you're obedient and you are usable. Amen. I had to check with the Holy Spirit, like, we done, we good, we get it all out there, we got it all out there. I have no clue what I'm going to title this, because we were just kind of, we just kind of all over the place. But just remember, God has you on your own individualized track, and you don't want comparison to get you off course. And take what you know and what you learn in these bigger rooms and start sowing seeds for where you're going and where you're growing. Boom. That was a good wrap up. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So you all have a beautiful and blessed day. Don't forget, today is Thursday. So that means tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are watching The Black Girl Encourage Her. And we've got Dr. Valerie coming to the stage, and Dr. Valerie is going to talk to us about the heart of nursing. So you do not want to miss. You want to make certain that you are in the room, because you never know what messages is going to be delivered that speak directly to where you are and where you are growing to. So I will see you all tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on my YouTube channel, Shaniqua Inspires. And you all have an abundantly blessed day. And I hope that I will be back to see you all tomorrow, God willing. And until then, have a thankful Thursday. Take care, everyone. You're late, Leslie. We're done. We're done. We're done. But blessings to you. We're done. Catch the replay.